Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Chemistry Daily Booster. This is number 22 in our Paper 2 series, and it is still on the advanced information for both foundation chemistry and higher tier chemistry. What we're going to look at today then are fuel cells. If we think about how we can actually use different cells in terms of chemistry, then chemical cells have what we refer to as an exothermic reaction that occurs inside that cell, and as a result we generate the potential difference between the two ends. Once that cell is connected into a circuit, because we have a potential difference, current will flow. What we're going to focus on today is a fuel cell which is capable of producing electricity through a chemical reaction, but there's no combustion. So what we see is there is a chemical reaction going on inside this fuel cell, but there is no combustion. What we're going to be looking at are hydrogen-oxygen fuel cells. So the hydrogen is going to react with oxygen in an exothermic reaction in order to produce water vapour, but there is no combustion occurring here. What we've got then is our little fuel cell on the right in that diagram. So this is our hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell. We've got hydrogen that goes in on the left-hand side here, oxygen going in on the right. The two sides of our fuel cell are actually separated by this thing called a proton exchange membrane. What we then also have is an external circuit up at the top here where our electrons are going to be able to flow. What we need to know is what happens on those two sides. So first thing that's going to happen is those hydrogen molecules, remember hydrogen goes around as H2, hydrogen molecules are going to lose electrons and we're going to form hydrogen ions. So our equation for what's happening here is two hydrogen molecules are going to then form four hydrogen ions, H+, and in order to get that positive charge on 4 hydrogen ions, we need to release 4 electrons, 4E-. Now, we've got a proton exchange membrane in the middle. Hydrogen ions, also known as protons. So the hydrogen ions are going to move through the proton exchange membrane from our left side to the right-hand side of our fuel cell. The electrons that we've released from the hydrogen atoms are going to travel up through this external circuit and then back in on the other side of the fuel cell. On the right hand side of our fuel cell in this diagram, those hydrogen ions are going to combine with the oxygen that we're putting in and the electrons that have travelled through the external circuit, and as a result we make water vapour. So what we see, 4 hydrogen ions join with an oxygen, O2, and those 4 electrons, and what we're going to make are 2 water molecules. Why do we want to use fuel cells then? They have some pretty significant advantages. First of all, they're lightweight and compact. They have no moving parts. As we've established, there is no combustion. They don't create carbon dioxide, and the only waste product in fact is water. So what we find here is that if we think about some of these uses, like on spacecraft, then the fact there's no combustion, great, because you don't really want fires on a spacecraft in space. They don't create carbon dioxide emissions, and in fact the only product that they're making is water, which you could then use as a drinking supply. So they're incredibly useful. We do have some downsides, however. Firstly, most of the hydrogen that we would use in these fuel cells actually comes from fossil fuels. So it's not quite perfect because we need a way to generate the hydrogen without the fossil fuels to make it far better for an environmental viewpoint. Secondly, we also have poisonous catalysts present in these fuel cells, but at the end of the fuel cell life cycle, we've got to dispose of properly to avoid contamination of key areas of the environment as well. As always, if you'd like to look at this in a bit more detail, you can use the main video on the C6 playlist on the channel. Use your revision guides, and of course do have a look at some of the past exam papers to get a feel for the questions. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow for our next Daily Booster for Chemistry.